You're on mute.
I can hear you now. Hi, I just got a new computer, so I'm trying it, but I can hear you now. Can you hear
No,
me?
no worries. We're just doing a roll call. So Commissioner Taylor.
Present.
Great. And
And should I say why I'm remote? Okay, perfect. I'm remote because I had an unexpected meeting at work and knew I couldn't make it in time for the in-person meeting. But I knew there's a lot on the agenda and I wanted to be present in some form.
great. Thank you. Do we have any agenda changes, additions, or deletions?
There are none.
Okay. Do we have any public comments?
No people in attendance.
Great, thank you. I guess the first action item, approval of minutes from January 12th, 2024. Public Art Commission Annual Retreat Meeting as well.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call. Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Miyagi,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton,
Yes.
and yes for me. And I guess the second approval is for the January 18, 2024 Public Art Commission regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll motion. I'll second then.
Great. Roll call. Commissioner Miyagi,
Yes.
Commissioner Walton,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
and yes for me. Thank you. Do we have any city official comments?
We do have a couple of city official comments. The first is the Public Art Commission recruitment. So anyone who may be listening out there or any commissioners who are able to reapply, we encourage you to get your applications in. The deadline is March 17th for that. And then the second item is the artist residency status update. So the panel met, we have 4 finalists who are going to do a public presentation on their previous work, their community engagement, and their ideas about what they plan to do if they're selected for the King Artist Residency. So that round 2, those presentations will take place in this room, March 7th from 9:30 to 11:30. They're open to the public. Members of the public may choose to leave comments for the selection panel when they deliberate afterwards. The selection panel will make a recommendation that will come back to the Public Art Commission at the March meeting.
Sorry, can I just ask for clarification?
Mhm.
So you said the 4 finalists will present what they want to do on March 7th, 9:30 to 7:30 here in this.
9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Sorry, yes, that's what I meant.
Yes, right here.
Okay,
Yes.
and then based on that, we will talk about it on the March meeting. And if we hadn't attended, are you going to just collapse everything to present to the commission?
Yes, absolutely. So Commissioner Miyagi has participated in the selection panel, so he will be part of that deliberation and that Q&A session. But just like any other recommendation from a selection panel, we'll create a presentation to bring back to the full commission.
Thank you.
Yep. And that's it for staff comments.
Great. Great, thank you. Action item, first action item, Fire Station 5 mural funding.
Great, thank you. So you may recall we did briefly discuss this item at our commission retreat. That Fire Station 5 has a rather large roll-up door that's very public facing. They're on the corner of Briones Park. And the fire department actually approached us, hoping that perhaps we could commission an artist to do something there. So thinking about distributing public art throughout various corridors, it's a high visibility site. We are thinking we will, if the funds are approved this evening, and it would be a $12,000 budget for that, that we would move forward with reaching out to our pre-qualified pool of artists with the opportunity and go ahead and put together a selection panel, right? The usual sort of 7 members, depending on the neighborhood and community members that are appropriate to add in. They will make an artist selection, and then that artist will begin their community engagement and design development. So here you have the timeline, right? So we're thinking we would like to get this painted early summer, so perhaps June. And this is the door, which if you look on the street view, it's very highly visible. That corridor, of course, has so many schools on it, so it's a very active bike thoroughfare. It's also a very active vehicular thoroughfare. The park is very well trafficked with families behind it. So this group gets a lot of visitors and they're really enthusiastic about hosting a mural. Are there any questions?
I just had a question. I'm excited to see this come to fruition. Is there a theme for the mural that they're thinking about or that they've proposed, or it's just whatever an artist kind of thinks about? Or
Well, like as with our other commissions, we really leave it to the artists to meet with the community and meet with the stakeholders in that fire station to determine what kind of theme would be appropriate for that community. So based on the community feedback, they'll come up with something.
oh, great. Okay, so I didn't
Mhm.
hear that part. Thanks.
I guess I have two questions. I have two
Sure.
questions. The first one is the $12,000 budget. Is it based on sort of per square foot average cost? And is that consistent with the prior mural cost, commission cost?
Yes, it is.
Okay, fantastic.
Yep.
And the second question I have is, this is a roll-up door, which is different both from the floor surface
Yes.
mural we had and the wall mural we had. Are there special type of care or issues that we have to address to ensure that the mural itself could be maintained for its intended period of time?
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you asked that. So as you look at the door, the roll-up door, of course, it's you can see some areas of paint loss at the top, right? That's the piece that even if the door is partway open, it's already folded over on itself. So we've had some consultations with Morgan Bricka, who is a very versatile local artist, to advise us on the best wall prep or in this case, door prep and what kind of artist we may be looking for. So in this case, we were probably not looking for an artist who uses a paintbrush, but probably someone who uses an aerosol-based paint. Mhm.
A couple of questions. Is this the main door that the fire engine comes in and out of?
It does, and yet they have a big driveway and they've already made arrangements for where they would park the rig while we are painting and while the paint is curing.
And how big is the door?
The door is 12 feet high and about 25 feet wide.
Okay, and now it said temporary artwork. So is it
Yes.
like after maybe 5 years that it would be looked at again to either repaint it or put another mural?
Great question. The reality is with the fire station doors, we just don't know what the lifespan is. Something could happen to that door. Occasionally, when it's being rolled up, the rig can hit the door. It may need to be replaced on a moment's notice. So we make sure that the contracts all read as temporary, because for all we know, the door may fail a month after we paint it and has to be replaced. So we want to make sure that we can be nimble and do any repairs that might be necessary. But the folks in that firehouse are pretty excited
Yeah.
and promise to take good care of it.
So is there something in the contract that if the door is damaged, that something else would go up in its place after the door is replaced?
No, there isn't something at this time. We don't know what kind of door that might be. Most of the doors now, they're replacing the roll-up doors with accordion doors that have glass on them. So there aren't that many of these roll-up doors. So I suspect once this fails, they may consider replacing it with a different kind of door. So it's hard to really make plans for another roll-up door. We don't know what the future holds.
Okay.
Mhm.
Can I just ask about, you mentioned those marks at the top?
Yes.
Is that irregular surface? Like, is it just paint coming up or is it actual metal coming up?
It's a little bit of paint coming up. There's a surface treatment to it, and that's where it's worn off.
So the aerosol versus paint just means that will adhere. It's just, you've been advised that it will adhere better and it will cover up all of those marks.
It will cover them up, but also we're not then getting paint
Right.
caked into those cracks.
Got it, okay, okay. All right, so they're not gonna be filed off or anything, or there is gonna be a door prep that's like a pre-painting.
We'll have to see what our consultant
Okay.
tells us on the best way to prep the door, if it's a power wash, if it needs a light sand or anything like that.
Okay.
So,
I guess I have two more questions.
Of course.
The first one is, because it's a roll-up door, I don't know if they, what the usual practice is, if they always keep it all the way open or all the way down, meaning are there times when it's open halfway? And if so, I would imagine the mural
Mhm.
would be designed in such a way that it won't come across inappropriate.
Mhm.
So that's the first question. Second
Mhm.
question is, I imagine since the fire station approached us about this, they understand the general expected lifetime of a mural project. And that is consistent with their expectation for maintenance of this building, meaning that they're anticipating that they will keep this roll-up door for at least as long as the mural is up.
Yes.
Subject to obviously unforeseen circumstances.
Mhm.
Okay.
Is it aluminum, the door?
I
Or-
believe it is.
Okay, so there can be some pitting and stuff that happens with aluminum, okay.
Just one question.
Yes.
Sorry.
There you go.
Has there been any discussion with Public Works about refinishing the wood on either side? It's kind of pretty worn, and when we get this beautiful new mural, it's gonna stand out even more. And it looks overdue.
Yes.
This station is not one of the ones being able to rebuild, so refurbishing it a little bit, I think we could justify if
Mhm.
that was an interest, so.
I think you would get a lot of support from fire for wanting to get Public Works to make some improvements there. One of the interesting notes, put that on your list. I don't know that Public Art takes that on, but we'll take care of the door. But the folks at that fire station did say, oh, well, we're open to expanding the mural and doing more. So we'll see. They're pretty pumped. But another just interesting side note about the staff there is when you enter that roll-up door where the rig is, the staff has actually taken the time to detail and paint the interior doors with little gold detailing and whatnot, so it kind of matches the rig. So there's a lot of creative energy there and pride of place. Also we learned looking in their break room, they have a lot of images of their personnel who are dispatched for these larger statewide fires, and they're there for weeks on end. And it was really touching to get to meet the staff and hear some of their stories. And so it'll be really great to bring an artist on board to not only meet with them and hear some of those things, but also hear from the community that's there and what the firehouse means for them and Juana Briones Park and that neighborhood. So we're really looking forward to seeing the direction that this takes.
Can I just ask, is that, so there's. The brick on either side, and then are you talking about the wood flanking the brick? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I
You look at, kind of looks.
think it's poured concrete,
Oh, is
actually.
it? Oh.
Yeah. Now that I look at it and it's jogging my memory, I think that's poured concrete.
Well, makes sense.
It maybe could use a power wash. If
Because
we're out
it
there
looked
power
like-
washing, we can have them just do the sides.
It kind of looked like distressed wood, like intentionally, so that's what I was asking, okay.
Quick Work Director has already had whispering in his ear about the need to power wash our garages and stuff at
Okay.
Cal Lab, so I'll just. This is why
Add
I got the
on.
Power washer out.
Do we have any more questions?
I'm assuming that people will obviously want to talk to the artist and watch the artist. So will there be an opportunity for like a conversation at some point with the artist and the police, the fire department, or to have that? Because I'm concerned a little bit about the safety aspect of like, if they need to use that space for whatever. I know they're going to move the rig out, but like, I'm assuming that's being handled. But I was just curious how that's going to work.
Yeah, it's always good to check, but yes, the artist part of their community engagement, and part of the requirement is that they have, you know, probably an on-site meeting with the community and fire. It may be bifurcated, one with the community and one to meet specifically with fire. But that will be part of the agreement that they need to do.
And it'd be nice to do something within, like while they're painting, maybe, of like giving them the opportunity if they want, obviously, or something, because I know there'll be a lot of people stopping by. And
There absolutely will be. We know, especially based on the Cal Ave event, that lots of people like to come by and check on the progress daily and chat with the artists and whatnot. So we're fully anticipating that. And like I said, they've got a nice big driveway there, so they've got plenty of room to accommodate a crowd.
Great. If we don't have any more additional questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve? The funding in the amount of up to $12,000 to commission a mural on the roll-up door at Fire Station 5. I'll motion. Do I have
Okay.
a second?
Okay, I'll second.
Roll call, Commissioner Taylor,
yes,
Commissioner Miyagi,
Yes.
Commissioner Walchuk,
Yes.
and yes for me as well. Okay, next item, the Coverly mural funding.
Great, thank you. And I think we have an image of the area we're looking at. But as you all are probably aware, there's been a lot of discussions about the future of Coverly over numerous years, and there is a renewed energy to have something happen there to move things along, and also to enliven the space. So as you all know from going to Coverly Artist Studios and whatnot, it's a former, high school. It could look better. And we have a lot of wonderful community partners there. And so there's been a lot of demonstrated desire from the community partners and the tenants there to want to have something that visually signals the exciting programming and things that take place at Coverly. So the idea is that we would do a call from our muralist roster, similar to what we're doing with the fire station, assemble a selection panel made up of Coverly stakeholders, community artists, and one of the public art commissioners, of course, and go through an artist selection. And that artist would then do outreach with the Coverly tenants to come up with their design, and that design would come back to the commission. And then we would hope to paint that also this spring. And this is the area we're looking at. So it is visible from Middlefield Road. It is part of the city-owned part of the property. So I think there are still some negotiations about what's going to happen with the city portion versus the PAUSD portion. This is also adjacent to many of our community partners that you see on that slide to the right. You've got quite a few of our partners there. And then it's also adjacent to the Coverly Artist Studios. And U7, so that room with the U on it, is used as a rental. So there's faith-based groups that meet there. The Coverly artists use it for some of their programming. So there's a lot that happens there, and it would be visible from Middlefield, but also as pedestrians walk toward the campus, it's a good signal of, hey, there's something exciting here happening.
Just to orient me, where do you see that, like from Middlefield?
So in taking this picture, behind me and over my right shoulder, essentially is like the ice cream, right, the back of Piazza, like
Okay.
Piazza's is to the right, yes. So there is some parking immediately to the left of this slide. There's the small parking lot just on this side of the U building from Middlefield Road. And then to the right of this slide is a driveway that goes back to like the dance academy. Yeah, that goes, yeah. Now you're oriented. So sorry if that was confusing. So we budgeted it out. So it could be one large piece on that U wall, or it could utilize some more empty space and could spill over to the wall on the right and or some of the ground plane. So depending on the artist and the feedback they hear back, there's some good wall space to work with here.
Would there be any consideration that we could use a current Coverly artist, or they have their own stuff they're doing, or
I like the way you're thinking, but we are gonna pull from the pre-qualified pool, and a number of those Coverly artists are in
Okay.
our pre-qualified pool, so they
Okay.
would absolutely be in the running.
Okay.
How big is the wall?
That wall, I think, we budgeted it out at about the same square footage as the fire station door.
Okay.
Because we weren't sure what portions of which walls or the ground plane the artist might take on.
And which way does the wall face?
So that wall is a north-facing wall.
And the stability of the wall for painting and that sort of stuff, we've run into that problem before and I don't think we want to go down that road again. so.
Absolutely. Again, we know it may be pretty temporary because there are discussions about the future of Coverly. So we'll have our consultant look at the wall and make recommendations about the best we can do for the preservation of it. But again, it would be a longer term temporary project, not something that comes into the collection that we are obligated to maintain in perpetuity or have to de-accession.
Or if the building's torn down, the building's torn down and that's it. and
Right.
Don't have to worry about it. Okay.
What is the
And the-
surface? Sorry, Mia,
Stucco.
No, go ahead.
just, it's stucco? Yeah.
Stucco.
Okay.
I have two quick questions. Can that be removed or that has to stay permanent on the wall? And then the second question I have, kind of a little bit piggyback on what Commissioner Burt said, but is there any way that they can kind of clean up that landscaping dirt so it looks a little fresh? I know the answer might be probably no, but it would just help, I think, it entice this idea of, art and making the landscape a little bit more exciting.
Well, so I'm on we have a council Coverly ad hoc committee that's doing the negotiating with the school district, including a meeting this morning. We'll see how close we are to a deal to get an additional 7 acres there, and then we can begin a long-term plan. But even though we're focusing on land acquisition, there's a lot of interest by the committee to do more sooner at Coverly to spruce it up for 2 reasons. One, because it really needs it right now and it's overdue and it's valued and it's kind of decrepit and could be spruced up on the cheap or fairly cheap. The second is that after presuming we get this additional acreage, then we'll be able to get in the process of a master plan and figure out how many new buildings we're going to build there. And either way, almost certainly it'll have to go to the voters for a bond. And our general thinking is it's a lot better to have people start envisioning in a positive way what Coverly can be than to show them something really lousy and say, see, you got to vote for it to fix something really lousy. So I think that there's going to be a strong interest in embracing near-term things, the landscaping. This sounds exciting, and other possibilities. A lot of wall space at Coverly, and people have talked about. Yeah.
When you say they're trying to acquire additional 7 acres, that's what the city wants. So the city is gonna have something and they're sharing it with PUC?
Yeah, so right now we own 8 acres and it's a little over half of the buildings area. And then we'd be acquiring 7 acres, maybe 8, that would consume the other buildings. And so we'd own all the buildings, then we continue to lease all the other playing fields and parking lots on a long-term lease, but with an understanding that it's possible that someday the district would need to take that back. But so we would have 15 acres that we can do long-term investment in that we would own. Yeah.
So the city basically would have purview over all of that, the fields through lease and the ownership of the buildings. And then is it envisioned that it would continue to be a vibrant community
Oh, yeah.
center for Palo Alto?
That's right.
The vision. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
There was a large master planning process that took place pre-COVID several years ago. And it was really amazing that, so many community members came and participated in these really intensive roundtables and exercises and visioning processes. And so there's a lot of enthusiasm for seeing this campus revived and make it a real community asset. So this is just one little way maybe we can help kickstart some of that visual cue that this campus really does house a lot of amazing things.
And then, just
Okay.
my quick question about the U, does the U have to, I'm assuming, stay put and the artist will have to work around it, or can it be moved?
I think most likely yes, because the other challenge that Coverly has right now is wayfinding, that people, the first time they come there, if they park on the opposite side or they park on this side and they're looking for a building on the opposite side, it's really confusing. So the letters are really helpful, but we will see what we can do about the U, or the artist can get very creative about how to utilize the U. We'll see.
And I also just wanted to add, Commissioner, I always want to say Mayor Burt, but Commissioner Burt, I want to say also thank you again for being here at our meetings, and being a representative for the art. Because I really agree with you that having nice art and then having nice landscaping will really entice and excite people for the future. So thank you.
Happy to.
If there are no further questions or comments, do I have a motion to approve the funding of up to 12,000 for a mural at the Kapiti campus at the intersection of U and H Wing facing Middlefield Road?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All right, roll call. Commissioner Miyagi,
Yes.
Commissioner Waltok,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
yes.
and yes for me, so I'm very excited. All right, next action item, art lift grants.
It seems like it's all paint all the time around here. We knew that 2024 was going to be a big year of murals and paint projects, and we have more coming probably in the next month or two. As we discussed in the retreat, the commission expressed support for doing art lift grants in non-code art years. So we talked about potentially having a focus for the art lift grants. And this we're thinking is going to be the utility box edition. So they're $1,000 grants. We are working to identify, I think we may have 20 boxes identified, evenly distributed throughout the city. And we also did find a number of cabinets that are new along University Avenue that are wonderful candidates. So we talked about potentially having the art lift grants. It would be an open call for members of the community. And I'd say that broadly because there are people who commute here every day, may not physically live here, but have a connection to Palo Alto and are rooted here. So they would be open for to apply for this, to paint these cabinets. So what we're asking for is the approval of funding in the amount of 25,000. So that would fund 21,000 art lift painted traffic boxes and irrigation cabinets, and an additional $5,000 for materials and box preparation, because a lot of these are going to need some prep work. We don't necessarily want members of the community doing that. So we would hire somebody to do any sanding, priming that needs to take place prior. The other thing behind thinking about doing these art lift grants, and here you can see an example of a before and after. Sunnyvale's just recently rolled out a new version of these box art projects, is that we are getting a lot of asks from members of the community, both artists who are trying to bridge into public art, but have not gotten out of their studio practice yet, have not had the opportunity to create something in public space based on the surroundings. And also we have some students who are graduating schools who really want to do a project like this, and they're not quite ready to take on a mural wall. So we thought this might be a nice way to, let's try the utility boxes. Create this opportunity for artists who are emerging into the public art realm. And it's a great opportunity for more of our local artists too, to be able to participate. Are there any questions?
I think that's a great point, that it's a really good entry into public art.
Mhm.
kind of a low level, if you will, low level entry into it. There's not as much pressure.
Mhm.
But it gets a lot of views. People
Mhm.
driving by, walking by will be able to see these things. And I know a lot of other communities have done these,
Mhm.
and sometimes they're highlighted in their communications that they have. So I think it's a great idea.
Mhm.
I have a question. Are you gonna limit how many boxes each artist can paint? Is it just one? Uh,
Great question. So some of these, there's one larger box on site, and some of them, there are two boxes next to each other that can be painted. We're staying away from any of the transformers, high voltage. No, no, no. We're doing traffic cabinets and some communications cabinets and irrigation cabinets. So we've been working with our partners in Parks and Open Space and Public Works to identify boxes that are pulled away from the curb. You know, there's some great boxes along Middlefield, but it's really too close to the road to be done safely. And with 20 of these rolling out, we need to make sure that we're choosing boxes that are appropriate and can be safely done with minimal oversight from us.
I love the idea of reaching out to people who don't have that much experience or students who are just graduating.
Mhm.
So do you have a thought about how that outreach is going to happen?
Yes, so we will definitely be reaching out to the schools, the various art instructors at the high schools. Teen Arts Council, the Art Center also has a teen group, so I think that they will all be enthusiastic about it. Social media is the best way we get word out. You know, the Art Lift grants before, we got a lot of traction. And we're also thinking on the physical cabinets that have been identified, we might just put a small card, interested in painting this cabinet, QR code to the information, and then we'll go and take them off. So that way you get the dog walker who happens to walk by that cabinet every day, who may be a Sunday painter and really interested in taking this on. Mhm. And
Lisa,
we'll announce it at council. Sorry.
offshooting of Lisa's question. No, it's okay. I'm assuming there's going to be a panel, but how are artists going to be selected? Are they supposed to present some examples of work that they've done, or are they going to do a mock-up, or how's that going to work?
They will, they'll be selected based on their previous work. So we need to see that they have a portfolio. Can they paint? And so that's how they'll be selected. And then once they create a design, that will then need to be approved. So they'll be paid upon the design approval, and then they'll be paid upon completion of the cabinet.
Right. And then is there an option for artists who are graphic designers but could have a friend or somebody they know paint it for them?
They would just have to put that in their proposal. So we would need to, they would have to illustrate that, like if it's a partnership, what are each of their roles, and demonstrate that they could carry that out.
Question, who's assigning which box? Are you picking the artist or you for each box, or are you picking the artist and then assigning them boxes?
I think in the application process, we're probably going to ask if they have a specific box in mind they would like, but that there's no guarantee that's what they'll get. And then sort of like we do with code art, it's going to be a big puzzle piece. Like, okay, this is a high visibility site. This is a really accomplished artist. You know, maybe give them the higher visibility site, and somebody who's never done this before, perhaps they get a smaller box or something that's more in a local park. So it'll be a little bit of a puzzle.
Got it.
And did you say when when things would be painted? Is that the summer?
We sort of like the way the micro grants did, they would roll out over the course of months. However, given our current open call for walls in downtown and midtown, assuming that we get walls that are going to be painted over a certain period of time, we would want those cabinets painted at that same time. So for right now, I think we have 6 cabinets downtown, like University and Hamilton, 7 as potential candidates. And we have applications in for 2 walls so far downtown. We're hoping to get more. But suddenly, if those cabinets are all getting painted at the same time those murals are happening, we have a real event taking place downtown. That's going to be really exciting. So the other ones that are sort of one-offs, I think can roll out depending on the artist's schedule anytime over the course of the summer. hopefully everything will be done by maybe October 1st.
If we don't have any more questions or comments, do I have a motion to approve the funding in the total amount of 25,000 to fund 20 20 art lift grants at $1,000 each to paint traffic and irrigation cabinets, and an additional, and also 5,000 for material and box preparation. So total is 25,000. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Do I have a second?
Second,
All right, roll call. Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Miyagi,
yes.
Commissioner Waltok,
Yes.
and yes for me as well. Thank you. Do we have any public letters?
There were none. It's been pretty quiet out there.
Okay, well, it's been raining. Do we have any commissioner questions, comments, announcements, or future agenda items?
Okay.
If not, I think we adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you. That was a quick one.